I'm joined in the studio by Paul Nixon from Independent Fermentation. Hi, Paul. Thanks for dropping in.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
So tell us about what most of us in the neighborhood call Indie Ferm. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Indie Ferm is a shortened version of Independent Fermentations Brewing, and we're located right here in Plymouth. Tap room with 8 beers on tap all the time, open Thursday through Sunday. And we also sell beer out to the local restaurants and bars on draft and in bottles. You see a couple of examples here. And we've been in business about 4 years, started in my barn down in Cedarville. And then once we got a little bit too big for that, we had enough demand for more beer, we decided to move to a bigger place. And it's kept it right here in Plymouth, of course. And most everybody that works for us is from Plymouth as well. And proud to be part of the community.
Wow, that's amazing. Now you have 8 beers on tap all the time?
Yep.
Okay. And one of the things that I've noticed at your location is you've got, when you say on tap, you have some of those beautiful tap handles I've ever seen. And I understand there's a good story behind that one?
Yeah, we kind of like a rustic sort of old look to most of our things. And we happened to run into Mark Atchison, who is the blacksmith at Plymouth Plantation. He dresses, in full pilgrim costume, but he also has a blacksmith shop there on the outside buildings at the plantation with a workshop. And we got to know him through an event that we did and asked him if he could make us some tap handles, wrought iron tap handles. So the things weigh a lot. I mean, it's all wrought iron, but it's old rebar that he's taken and modified the ends to make into a nice tap handle for us.
Yeah,
and
they're beautiful.
Looks really
and then
cool.
There's ceramic, almost like tiles that indicate the type of beer.
Yeah, so we add a little magnetic tile on to the top of each one.
Oh, it's magnetic.
Just so we can keep track in the tap room, because we're changing beers so often. It helps us keep track of which tap is which.
Oh, so you're not actually having to unscrew the top. It's a
Nope.
tile.
So the same 8 ones have been there for 2 years now, and maybe a little bit over 2 years. And we have just changed out the magnet in each one when the beers changed. And we change beers every week or so.
So it's a great example of your attitude or philosophy of locally sourcing when possible.
Well, that's right. I just picked up labels today from Powderhorn Press in Plymouth, so we try to keep that local. We get our grain primarily from Western Massachusetts. There's no real local supplier, but within Massachusetts. Same thing with hops out in Western Mass. And we also have started our own hop farm right here in Plymouth, in Chiltonville. So,
can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. The Wildlands Trust owns a property in Chiltonville that they needed to have used for agriculture, or they would lose the tax exemption that they have for agriculture. Okay. And they decided to ask us, because some of those folks from Wildland know us at the brewery pretty well, and decided to ask us if we wanted to try and grow some hops. And we said, heck yeah, we'll give that a try. So we did 100 plants this past year. Most of them came up pretty well and did well. And then we're going to add probably 500 more, pardon me, in the springtime, and get up to 600, and we'll have a couple of thousand eventually. And it helps them out too.
Yeah, it's just a win-win. It's fabulous. We'll have to get some pictures of that. We'll have to have you back.
Sure.
So
we can do a tour.
Yeah, that would be great, huh? Can you tell me, I understand that there were some goats involved in that project?
So not directly in the beer, let's clarify that. But yes, there was, Scotty Browning keeps a flock of her goats, and you might have seen in the newspaper Daffodil, the mule, who got loose earlier in the year. They are our next door neighbors out of the hop farm.
Like mule got loose. I mean, we are not located.
Donkey, actually.
Donkey. We're not located in the Midwest where you normally hear that phrase. So it's really
donkey got lost was
quite amazing.
Yeah.
So I happen to be a big fan of your beers, and I saw that we have actually 3 of my favorite here.
I'm a little uncomfortable having the bottles on top of iconic Plymouth Rock. Yeah, but
I just hope that the wind from the water doesn't. But yeah, we might get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
But I know Honey Triple is one of your most popular.
Yes, it is.
And Farmhouse Red and Gratzer, which is very odd and wonderful, but it's reminiscent of bacon, a hint of bacon.
Yeah, it's
but
actually.
But it is vegan, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
There's no bacon in the beer or any of our beers, no meat in any of them. It is an ancient style from Poland, and it's a beer style that originated and evolved before natural gas kilns were available. So in the old days, you used to have to dry the malt. Before it could be brewed with, it has to be dried. And they used to dry it over an open oak fire, and just like smoking meat on the smoker, the smoke imparts that flavor to the malt, and that stays in the beer when we brew it.
So are there people that sell malt that has already been smoked? Or
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes. So
that's a thing.
The biggest, most modern malting company in the world is in Bamberg, Germany, Weirmann Malt, and they actually reserve a small amount of their wheat malt for this old school method that they still smoke, even though they've got totally modern equipment for everything else. So kind of an interesting little historical beer style.
So it's not like some artificial flavoring.
Yeah,
at all.
no, there's no liquid smoke or anything like that.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so. Well, I was going to ask you what might people be surprised to learn, but it seems that every time you tell me anything, I'm like, that's really interesting.
I have a head full of useless beer knowledge, so just ask me anything.
Good person to have at a dinner party, you
Yeah,
know?
well, nobody ever invites me to any, so I don't know.
So tell me what, I would presume that you have a lot of patrons who are kind of beer junkies, you know, the people what are they called?
Well, beer geek is a pretty
Beer
common
geek. Okay.
term these days.
Okay.
So yeah, with plenty of those, for sure. I think more all the time as people start to realize that beer can actually taste really, really good and doesn't have to just be fizzy water. And there's also a few people, especially for special events that we have, a lot of people come in asking for something akin to fizzy yellow water. And we do our best to hold our breath and not smile or laugh or anything, and give them something that they're going to like. And we always have some beers that are pretty easy drinking, as well as the higher alcohol stuff. Like Honey Triple is definitely packed with flavor. Our stout packed with flavor, but we also make some lighter styles too that are for just everyday easy drinking beers for anyone.
Well, I find some of the names that you've come up with, it reminds me of you know, every woman who's watching this will understand when you go to pick out nail polish, they have like these outlandish names.
I don't even know where you're going yet.
Right. So you have like Full of Stars Stout.
Yeah.
And so the story behind that.
Yeah, so I wanted to call it Black Hole Stout because it's really dense and heavy and thick and has its own high gravity like a black hole. But that was already taken. I looked it up on Google and it was already taken. And there was a similar name or two I tried to get to, and that was taken as well. So then I started thinking, came up with 2001 Space Odyssey, Dave the astronaut goes into the black hole, and right as he's doing that, he goes, my God, it's full of stars. So it's an obtuse sort of reference, but also a reference to one of my favorite movies. So Full of Stars, Imperial Stout refers to 2001 A Space Odyssey.
We only have about 20 seconds left. I want you to talk about your brewery supply, the fact that you have brewery supplies and kombucha and all wonderful.
Yeah, you're right.
Like
8 minutes goes pretty quick. Yes, we have a homebrew supply shop along with the brewery, and we have, along with the homebrew supplies, we have kombucha making, cheese making, all kinds of fermented foods. A lot of people don't realize how many foods are actually fermented. We've got everything you need for that, as well as brewing beer at home.
So awesome. So little time, we'll have to bring you back. Thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you.